Two friends meet up to drink some beers and talk about past times. Not yesterday, but long ago, it's scandals, wars and crimes. From Stalin's reign to Prohibition, Tudors, Pompey, Bush and NASA's mission, Edison's bulk, Genghis Khan's rise to victory. Forget your old teacher, it's time for Pint-Sized History.
Hello and welcome again to the Pint-Sized History Podcast with me, Zach Davis.
Hallo, ich bin Joe.
And ich heiße Joe.
Ich heiße Joe. Ich bin is I am, isn't it?
Yeah, but you say for name it's ich heiße.
That I'm called. I'm sure you can say ich bin Joe.
Is heiße called?
Surely ich bin Joe just means I am Joe.
You are, yeah, I guess so. I am a Joe, I think. Ich bin ein Joe. Yeah.
I thought you'd learned German.
Or you can say like mein Name.
That's probably a better way to do it.
But like that's still like too formal, I guess.
Okay, well, I'm Joe.
We're back with an episode of the Nazis.
I do feel a bit grim just doing hi, I'm Joe in German while discussing the Aryan white supremacy Nazis.
Oh, you're airing yourself. You got
I
this,
don't
King.
approve of what the Nazis did. Just making that clear as I sip from my second.
I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
Lovely beer.
Right, we're back to talk about the Nazis again. If you watched last part, you've had all about the Nazis from the years 33 to 30.
It's 33 to 36, yes, but we are going to go back a bit. Just because...
Very chronological.
It is, yeah, I know, I could have done it more. There's a few moments where I'm doing that as well. It's just because I wanted to end it on, what we're going to be talking about predominantly in this episode, which is how Nazi Germany starts preparing for war and how it convinces people, because... this is a really important question in this episode that we'll be talking about, is that Hitler had campaigned not only on an economic standpoint, but he'd also campaigned to be a man of peace. He had always said, I do not want to start wars. Germany is tired of wars. I am a man of peace. I will not do anything like that. So the question is, how does he then convince people that all the things he's doing is still for peace? Because if he doesn't, then they're going to start getting angry because they do not want war. That is a very important thing. The German people do not want war.
Really
at least at this point, they don't.
So
how does he do it?
That's so interesting, but it's not as interesting as
Crate Brewery!
we actually didn't mean to do that at the same time. Huh? That sounded really good. We should do that every time.
We shouldn't. Yes, thanks, Crate, for these lovely beers. What's the code, Zach?
The code is Pint-Sized 15 to get your hands on one of these lovely, delicious Einbiers. Lager beer.
Right, so a quick recap of what we just spoke about. Hitler is now in power. The Nazis are doing some things to convince the German people that they should all work together. The problem is that he's specifically talking about the ethnic white Germans and no one else. Everyone else, he's kind of like, fuck off. But the Germans, he is like, we need to work together. We are proud people. We are lovely people. We deserve the best for each other. And he's basically been convincing them. Now, we're going to take it back a little bit in time to before 1936, just so we can talk about a few other things that are quite interesting. To further prove Germany's growing ambition and to push another project that will hopefully invigorate the German mindset that we are proud, beautiful people that do cool things, Hitler champions a new project to make a motor car viable for every German family. It's a clever move. In the 1930s, in the early 1930s, only 1 in 50 Germans owned a car. 1 in 50. So the idea is not only very enticing, very exhilarating, but, you've had this exciting Autobahn, and now you have the chance, if you didn't own a car, to now drive down it and go visit any part of this beautiful country that you are part of. He needs a car for the people, and that's what he describes it as, a car for the people. Now, how would you describe that in German?
A car for the people.
A people's car, a car for the people.
Car.
Can you translate? Can you translate that?
You could even say a folks car.
A folks car, yes. But what's car in German? Wagen?
Wagen, yeah.
So you're saying it's a Wagen-Volks?
A Volkswagen.
That's right, it's a Volkswagen. The Volkswagen is what Hitler is the champion
You're not pronouncing the looks.
No, I don't.
It's Volks.
Volks, okay,
yeah,
sorry.
When you say Volk, it's got to be the S has to come out.
Just correct me every time. Volkswagen is the name of the game. And Hitler is championing it himself. He orders Ferdinand Porsche, the Nazi party member who, funnily enough, founded Porsche themselves.
Wait, did you just say Porsche?
I said it both ways because, that way you can't tell me off.
Sorry,
I'm just appeasing. Sorry, I'm appeasing. I'm making sure everyone's happy with how I pronounce it.
Are you like a 30-year-old blonde girl from the Beverly
I said
Hills?
Porsche and I said Porsche.
I got my Porsche.
I was just
got my Porsche with me.
I'm just trying new things, man. So
I'm trying. You don't want to live life stale.
Yeah, exactly.
You want to keep it interesting. Say Porsche in different ways once in a while, you know.
Hitler orders Ferdinand Porsche to create a people's car that Germans could aspire up to with their new economic freedom. Go drive across the beautiful German countryside in your shiny new Volkswagen Beetle.
Spend your money.
And you know what's funny? It's all because Daddy Hitler let it happen. You know, it's because he's like, I want a car that looks like a Beetle. I want it to be sleek and I want it to be cheap. And they're like,
did he want the Beetle?
Well, they took loads of photos with him with the car, the earliest original version of a Beetle. And
Oh,
he's like,
really?
yeah.
Is that
and
the
he's
original car, the Beetle?
I think so, yeah, the Volkswagen, yeah. And he's like there and he's like looking at it. It's like, maybe we should tweak this, as if he's, he's doing a proper Kim Jong-il of like,
Really?
or Kim Jong-un of looking at things. Oh, well, maybe we should do this. And they were like, yes, sir, yes, sir.
Yeah,
Don't
mein
do
Führer,
that.
ja, mein
Don't do
Führer.
that. He's chatting absolute shit.
He's got like white powder in his nose going, oh, we can put a TV. We get one of those radios. Actually, a very smart idea, Mr. Hitler.
That sounds great. I like that, Adolf. So alongside the Volkswagen, it's time for another pride-inducing German show of strength. It's the Olympics.
Oh, yes.
The 1936 Olympics are held in Berlin. The host city had actually been awarded to Germany 5 years ago before the Nazis came into power. After they had, the IOC debated privately about whether to change the decision, but Hitler assured them that Jews would be allowed to compete. So
That's good. That's really good. That's very nice.
it is good. And to be fair,
Quite socialist.
most countries told their Jewish participants just not to come anyway because they were scared of what could happen.
Yeah.
So there weren't many Jews that did come. Some did come. And even Germany had a Jew in their ranks, which was partly, I think, to appease... I don't know if it was other countries or just to make it seem like they were less racist than they were, but they basically already had a world champion female fencer that was Jewish German, so she came along for the ride.
Yeah, us Jews have always been good at fencing things.
Yeah, sure.
That's a good joke. Come on, that's a really good joke.
It's all right.
Oh,
It's good.
you get it?
Yeah,
You get the
'cause-
layers?
Yeah, there's layers to it. I get it.
Yeah. Cool. Laugh. Laugh
Yes.
harder.
So another interesting thing, the games were the very first to ever be televised, and Hitler obviously used this and the Olympics as a great opportunity to promote Nazism and especially racial supremacy.
Oh, yeah.
Of course, that takes a bit of a hit when Jesse Owens,
Who?
a black American,
man.
wins 4 gold medals, which is more than anyone
He
else
fucking
did
smoked that.
at the Olympics.
He
He
did
won
have
more
that
than
power,
anyone.
didn't he? On the
No.
Did he not raise his arm on the?
No, that was 1970s.
No.
It is.
No.
That's when the Black Panther movement was the thing.
He saluted. He saluted on the podium.
Yeah. So the opposite of Black Power. He saluted the.
It's because they were all outside of him going like that.
Now, do you remember the Nuremberg race laws that I mentioned in part 1?
Yep.
The ones targeting Jewish citizenship and revoking their rights?
Oh yeah, the goodies.
Well, they'd actually suspended the criminal sentences from that law until after the Olympics,
Oh, right.
so that the international community wouldn't be so up in arms and boycott the event, which many did. Many countries did consider boycotting. But now that the Olympics is done, the anti-Semitism goes into overdrive.
Oh yeah.
The Gestapo start outwardly threatening and intimidating Jews in the open.
Too right.
The German Jews have their assets seized by the
I'm
Nazis.
Jewish here, by the way.
Yes, he's Jewish, if you weren't aware. German Jews have their assets seized by the Nazis as they attempt to leave the country. Many flee, but the rest have their businesses seized too. It is now illegal for a Jew to own a business in Germany. The shops are to be sold to pure-blooded Aryans for tiny prices.
It's a shame that because that's something we're really good at. Like as a people, we run businesses pretty nicely. We know a few Jews that own businesses. And they are incredibly profitable. Something that now I dwell on it a bit. It's quite stereotypical, isn't it? You might say there's a prejudice against us for running business as well and hoarding the money.
Yeah, you were saying that as if there wasn't something obvious undertone.
It wasn't, but then I had a moment of reckoning.
Yeah. This is basically the precursor to a very, very famous event in 1938, Kristallnacht. Meaning the night of the broken glass,
Oh, yeah.
as you know.
Now, so I keep oh yeah.
Yeah,
oh, yeah,
maybe this is a defense mechanism when you're feeling a bit
Nazis.
uncomfortable talking about Jewish history. Yeah, ooh. I can't do any of that. I can't start taking the piss out of this stuff.
Baby.
So yeah, I'm going to talk about Kristallnacht now, which is very famous. It's basically one of the first real. In fact, some historians consider it the start of the Holocaust is Kristallnacht. So
Yeah.
this is a pretty important event.
Because they already actually, I don't want to go over it, but they already set up concentration camps
Yes,
before
they had.
1938.
Yeah, good
And
point.
so I think
good
in
spot.
Dachau, so I think in 1936 they set up Dachau,
Yeah.
which is the first concentration camp. And that's
Yes.
basically for political prisoners and like the early remnants of the undesirables.
Yes.
So like there was a
But
mechanism.
the concept for someone that's for someone that doesn't know much about this type of history, at this point, the extermination element of it was not a thing.
Work camps.
I mean, there was still, maybe there was the occasional killing, but at the end of the day, this was a work camp. It was still called a concentration camp, but it was certainly the earliest iteration of it that we know of in terms of Nazi Germany. But it's a different variation. But you're absolutely right to point it out. By this point, there are concentration camps, and there are Jews that have been sent to them. I mean, the ones that aren't German citizens anymore. Now, if they do anything that they're not allowed to because they don't have the same rights that a normal German would do, they would be sent to those concentration
the
camps.
Nuremberg race laws that we discussed in the last episode, does that strip Jewish German citizens of their citizenship?
Yes.
Okay, interesting.
They're now legal migrants. In fact, I was about to say legal.
They're illegal migrants.
They're now.
Okay, stop the boats.
But
stop the Jewish boats.
I don't really want to say legal migrants because, firstly, I think there's a specialist term for it rather than legal migrants, and also by saying legal migrants, I'm making it too what we're talking about today. But essentially, they are no longer citizens. They are now considered migrants within the law. So we're going to talk Kristallnacht. I'm going to keep the humour to a minimum. Well, I'm sure Zach might come in once or twice, but remember, he's allowed to. He's allowed to.
This is also Pint-Sized history, though.
He's allowed to. It is, but there's not many times you talk about the Holocaust. In fact, if I'm right in thinking so, is this the first time we're talking about the Holocaust?
I think we've mentioned doing an episode on the Holocaust.
But we haven't actually talked about something to do specifically with the Holocaust. So I am now treading, especially as an Aryan Catholic, I am now treading dangerous ground.
You got blonde hair and blue eyes. You're not an Aryan, bro.
Of course I'm Aryan, bro.
Of course I am. It's like you're wearing like a badge of honor.
Don't take this from me.
He's gonna grow a little tuft of hair on his nose soon.
Well, he was an Aryan. That's the great irony.
Yeah, true.
It is disputed whether the Germans had been pre-planning an outright attack on the Jewish people and their businesses. In general, I think people kind of just assume that they probably were because it makes sense. And there's some evidence, but there's not a lot. But whatever the case, on November the 9th, 1938, they are given the perfect excuse. A 17-year-old German-Polish Jew living in Paris receives a letter from his parents describing how they were forced out of their homes, deported to Poland, and they plead for any money to be sent to them from their son. Teenager Herschel Grunspan, I think it's how you say it. It's hard to tell because it's spelled very Polishly.
Grundspan.
Grynszpan. He reads the postcard, buys himself a revolver, walks down to the German embassy in Paris, and shoots Nazi diplomat Ernst von Rath. Political violence, the perfect excuse. Goebbels subtly points out in his speech that evening that it's time for a pogrom, which is basically a violent riot against any ethnic or religious group. That's what a pogrom is.
I think
the Nazis show in force for it.
Yeah, go on Google and type in Jewish pogroms throughout history, and there are a disgusting amount of them. There's every European country under the sun has had a pogrom.
Top three most oppressed peoples?
It's kind of tough to say that during the Gaza War. Which even saying that might piss people off, saying it's a war and not a genocide.
I didn't think about that when I said it.
Top three most oppressive people.
Yeah, to be on both lists is an achievement. That's so fucked up.
Don't keep that in. That's actually so funny.
I can't say it. I know. Over the night of the 9th of November into the 10th of November 1938, several German cities are assaulted, not just from the Nazis' paramilitaries, but at times from the Hitler Youth and from the ordinary German public, who, to be fair, were being willed on constantly and encouraged by the accompanying SS.
Yeah,
get him! Throw
her over that window!
Thousands of synagogues and businesses are burnt and destroyed. Tens of thousands of Jews are sent to concentration camps. Around 100 Jews are killed throughout the night. The world condemned the violence heavily. Countries severed diplomatic relations with Germany. Britain, especially, started heavily accepting the surging number of Jewish refugees, either to Britain or to Palestine, which we controlled at that point. Not that I'm mentioning it for any reason that might be considered.
Skip it.
Moving on.
The blade.
And the last emperor of Germany. Do you remember his name? The last emperor of Germany?
Paul von Hindenburg.
No, that's the last president of Germany.
Last emperor. Oh, the Kaiser Wilhelm.
Yes, Wilhelm the
second.
Wilhelm II exclaimed, "For the first time, I am ashamed to be German."
Oh, he's in exile in the Netherlands.
I actually don't know where he went.
He's in the Netherlands.
The fact is, by escalating tensions with rhetoric, with bullying, with intimidation, with expulsion and violence, a dictator creates the conditions to which the band will eventually snap, the tension will explode, and someone will use political violence against them, giving them an excuse to go to war. I don't really want to suddenly go into a TV show while talking about all this, but I've never seen a better example of just how interestingly you can kind of bring about this sort of political atmosphere for violence than Andor, the show that came out recently about Star Wars.
Got him on.
Yeah, well, I don't want to say any spoilers if you haven't watched it, so no spoilers. But in season 2, there is a storyline that is fairly similar to this type of stuff that we're talking about, of basically a government trying to incite more hatred amongst the people until the band snaps, until someone decides to do something wrong, and suddenly they use that as an excuse to go hard and go heavy. It's interesting watching that show, Andor. I really recommend it, as I'm sure Davis does.
It's probably the best show I've seen in the last
It's fantastic. I just see it as a really beautiful way of showing how fascism is just the most evil, awful thing that should never, ever exist in a modern society. Because you can basically take examples from everything in Andor and everything about this sort of political violence, and you can take it from a different fascist government. You can talk about how scared people are to talk to anyone from Soviet Russia. You can talk about how the Nazis used, like what we just spoke about, which I don't want to say a spoiler for, to create this sort of political violence. You can talk about the
bombing of cities, like Francoist Spain.
The empires talking about how to extract resources without minimal cost to themselves, like the British colonialists with the East India Trading Company, like we discussed in the previous episode.
I guess that's the East India Company's not fascistic. It's just just corporatism going
but Imperial
crazy.
Imperial Britain, which took over from them, were.
Yeah.
So I am glossing over a bit there, but you get the point. The last thing I'll say is, if you haven't watched Andor, you definitely should go see it. You don't actually need to be a fan of Star Wars.
There are countless acts of rebellion happening
every day.
Every day.
If you're interested in this type of content, if you're interested in the kind of mindset that people have to be in to be Nazis, then I've genuinely never seen a show that expresses that kind of weird thing. Even if it's it follows the ISB. It follows which is the Star Wars equivalent of the KGB or the SS. It essentially follows all the little bits of fascism combined. And when you think about it, it's not really Star Wars. It's essentially
it's a political documentary.
It's a political documentary set within a really in-depth sci-fi universe.
It's just fucking amazing.
It just then happens to also be Star Wars. So we're going to move on now. I have skipped forward a bit in the timeline to cover Kristallnacht. So now we're going to take a step back so we can, away from Hitler's prosecution of the Jews, to talk about the other of Hitler's two main things, which of course is... Conquest, Lebensraum, imperialism, expansion.
Oh, we're going into World War II here.
No. Well,
so we're 1938. It depends when you think.
No. That's what I'm saying. We're going to take it. We're taking a step back in time as well to talk about this other stuff that's been happening alongside it. Because I wanted to basically, if it isn't clear, for this part 2, I wanted to talk about the Jewish persecution because you have to. That's so important to the Nazi bit. But I wanted to put that all together. Now we're going to be talking about the stuff that is to do with the colonial expansion, which is the other of Hitler's main things.
Oh, I know what you're about to say.
Yeah.
It starts with an A.
It does start
I
with
love
an A.
the word.
You do love the word. So just wait, you'll get there. You'll get there. So you can scream it from the top of your lungs the second I point to you. We'll get to you, okay? Despite Germany only getting back to its feet over the last couple of years, Hitler has secretly informed his generals that he intends to take over large parts of Europe over the next few years. This is in 1936. So like I said, we're taking a few years back from previous. And now Hitler's saying, okay, by the way, guys, these are my plans. Don't tell anyone, but these are my plans.
Don't tell anyone.
I want to basically take over most of Europe. And the generals are like, what the actual fuck? No. Like, that would so fuck us. The French hate us. The British hate us. The Russians hate us. How the hell Would we do like you're insane, man? We're the Great Depression. We've been on our knees. The public hates wars. How would you ever do that? That's fucking insane.
I guess the generals don't realize how bad it is in these other countries. No,
but there's more to it than just that. Yes, every country is bad, but Germany is one of the worst affected from the Great Depression by far. And on top of that, they have no military, or at least their military is growing, but it's still not in comparison to them. They have no navy. They have enemies on every side. You know, the Soviets hate them, the British hate them, the Americans hate them, the French hate them. And on top of that, the public do not want to go to war. So why, how could you ever make that work? It is suicide. They all think it's suicide. They say to him, the ones that can get to him and explain it without him getting too angry, say to him, we can't do this. It's a suicide.
I think that's the main thing that people don't realize in World War II is like, the Germans, of course, had like an incredible war machine, but they got so lucky. So unbelievably lucky at every stretch of the war.
You could say there is a lot of luck, absolutely, but you could also say a lot of it is strategically. He gets it right. Basically, Hitler takes a lot of risks, and almost all of them, up to a certain point, pay off.
Before Barbarossa.
Yeah, before a certain point. But the point being is that, you know, yes, they did get lucky, but at the end of the day, Hitler was making some pretty good decisions that it could have so easily gone either way. And like I say, all his generals thought it was an awful idea. In fact, some of his very top generals approach Hitler in an attempt to dissuade him from this ridiculous idea. Hitler ignores them, finds dirt on them, makes them resign or else he'll expose the dirt, and then appoints himself supreme commander of the German army. So now he doesn't need to listen to them. He can just do what he wants. So, step one of his plan, unite all German-speaking peoples. In 1938, German troops march into Austria.
Anschluss!
Yes, Anschluss. I thought Lebensraum was your favorite German word.
I love Anschluss. And another German word I love we're about to say is Sudetenland.
Yeah, that's coming as well. Yeah, that's not a German word though. That's just a place.
Region.
So Hitler arrives in Austria to delighted crowds, thrilled to be united once more with the fatherland.
I think they're paid. I don't think they're actually happy. I think they're terrified. But I think there's like the myth is that Austrians wanted reunification.
I could agree with that.
But like they do not. Absolutely do not. Like
I think you're taking that too far. I get the impression that more of Austria were into that idea than anywhere else. Because the next few ones I'm going to be talking about, that mood is not the same.
Yeah.
But in Austria, I do think that there is a certain amount of goodwill. By the way, I mean, I'm basically agreeing because I do actually agree with you that I'm sure behind the scenes there were plenty of like, oh, for fuck's sake, I don't want this. I'm terrified.
Massive Jewish population.
Yeah, this is awful for us. I'm sure that's totally right. I'm just saying that I don't think those people in that crowd, because by the way, you say they were paid. He gives a speech about unification in front of 300,000 people in central Vienna. Now, if you're telling me that all of those 300,000 people are being paid to be there to smile at the Fuhrer, I think that's a crazy claim. I really do. I think the fact of the matter is a big amount of the population of Austria, not necessarily the majority, but a big part of it, welcomed him with open arms, especially considering Hitler was Austrian. So that's my thoughts.
Do you know what percentage of Austrians voted to be annexed by Germany? 99%.
I rest my case.
Really? Are you going to take that for fact?
Yeah, 99%. Oh yeah, the 1%. What were they? Jewish. The 1% were the Jews. Everyone else wanted it. Well, there we go. I'm glad we got to the bottom of that.
0.5% Jews, 0.5% Bolsheviks.
Yeah. Glad. Well, thank you for proving my point.
No,
I know. Obviously, the joke there must be.
People don't know you're joking, though.
No, yeah. I mean, obviously, the point is that if it's 99%, then it's obviously biased or it's paid off.
So many like votes and referendums in
if they're 99%, it's dodgy.
And it's always whenever it's 99%,
it's more than dodgy.
It's fucked.
It's fake. If it's like that's impossible. You're never going to have a 99% vote. Yeah. So like I say, he gives a speech about unification in front of 300,000 people. The rest of the world do nothing. Now, Zach, what is a 3-syllable word beginning with the letter A that rhymes with bereavement?
I love the way you phrase that. Appeasement.
Yes, it's appeasement. And despite the Treaty of Versailles being broken once again, France and Britain do fuck all. But Austria isn't the only country with German-speaking peoples. The Sudetenland, as you love to say, bordering Germany in Czechoslovakia, is filled with Germans, all crying out.
Apparently, it's not fierce. Like 20% of them are Germans.
All crying out to join the party and be reunited. That's the line. That's what they say. The only problem is the Czechs don't want to give any land away, unlike Austria. Also, Czechoslovakia is protected by France and technically by Britain, but I think it's
little entente.
Yeah, it's a little different for Britain. I think I don't think we're promised to them. We just basically said, we'll probably.
I think it's like Romania, Yugoslavia, Czechoslovakia.
But France do have a treaty that they will protect Czechoslovakia.
They always sort of like
this is a different deal than before. So this won't be easy for Hitler. How do you convince your people that have voted you in on being a peaceful leader, that you can take over land from a country that doesn't want to be invaded? This isn't the Rhineland. This isn't Austria. This is attacking a neighbor state. Well, he used the tried and trusted dictator play of pretending that we were the ones being persecuted, that we're the ones that need to defend our rights. Just like with Kristallnacht, where they used a Jew killing of a Nazi party member as a reason to act. Here, Goebbels pumps out constant content in the media of poor ethnic Germans in the Sudetenland being assaulted, attacked, abused in the streets.
Get them out of there.
It's extremely effective propaganda. This stuff works, and it spins you as a protector, not an instigator. And I actually did a bit of extra research to try and figure out how much of it was true. And it is true that there were certain ethnic Germans that were being abused in the Sudetenland. But the point is, it's all being hammed up to 1 million.
You can imagine that in Austria-Hungary, which Czechoslovakia was part of, and that's obviously now it's Czech Republic and Slovakia. But you can imagine that sentiment towards German speakers probably dipped down after the independence of Czechoslovakia following the dissolution of the Austro-Hungarian Empire.
To bring it back to a more recent example, in 2022, in the weeks leading up to the invasion of Ukraine, what did Putin inform the Russian people?
He said that the Ukrainian government were Nazis and they were killing Russians and stuff like that, and they were being sponsored by the CIA and all that shit.
Yeah, pretty much. He basically, I don't know about the CIA stuff, but he basically said that the poor ethnic Russians living in Ukraine near the border, so pretty much the exact same scenario, were being attacked, were being raped, were being subjugated by the Ukrainians, despite there being zero evidence of this. He even called the Ukrainians Nazis, which is so ironic.
Vladimir Zelensky, who's a Jewish man.
If it isn't clear from what I've been saying so far in this podcast, there is a dictator handbook, and pretty much all the successful ones use it play by play. This is almost the exact replica. How the Ukraine-Russia war started, the reason that they used for it is pretty much exactly what Hitler used to try and convince his people to go to take the Sudetenland back for the Germans.
Well, and a really interesting thing is that people who are apologists for Russia say that Putin's right and they are Nazis, the Ukrainians, because there's one brigade in the Ukrainian army called the Azov Brigade.
Yes.
And the Azov Brigade are they're a neo-Nazi basically at this point a paramilitary group. They are like they're pretty damn sick fighters, and they were like the subjects of the bombardment in Mariupol, which is like that big siege they're in, and they have like a Schutzstaffel logo, which is the SS as their army logo. But the apologists use that as a reason to justify Russia invading Ukraine.
Yeah. Because you'd latch onto it.
Zelensky's a Jew. He's
a
Jewish man.
if you've got like any of that stuff, if you've got anything that you can use as dirt, you basically just ham it up. You pump it out, you throw the misinformation, and eventually it sticks. That is just how it works. And you will just see, if you look at these examples, you just see how similar they are each time. And there's no way Putin didn't know what Hitler did with the Sudetenland. He would have known exactly what he did. So he's like, I've got an idea.
He's thinking more about Poland.
He's thinking about someone else.
He's got his eyes there next.
So here we go. So Hitler prepares to invade. He continues to convince his people that he is a man of peace. He was a frontline soldier of World War I. He's seen the carnage firsthand. Why would he, of all people, ever want to go to war, knowing what it looks like? But he demands, this is important, he demands the poor ethnic Germans of the Sudetenland to be freed from this tyrannical Czech government, or else his hands are tied. That's how
government.
That's how he frames it. So this is a huge risk, a huge gamble, and the world seriously holds its breath because this is by far the closest we've come to a war, a European war since World War One. It seems that it's almost inevitable at this point. What's happening, Zach?
In comes Neville Chamberlain.
The British are coming!
Neville Chamberlain.
The plane comes landing in Munich. Neville Chamberlain stands out and he steps out onto the beautiful Bavarian land and he says, he sniffs the air and goes, lovely German country.
God save
I, the British Prime Minister, have arrived. That's right. On possibly the greatest and most epic diplomatic mission of all time. Can the Brits save the world?
Can we fucking
Here we go,
baby.
baby.
Give a moment to the fact that
We've arrived.
It's like the biggest. It is probably politically the biggest day in the history of the world.
Yeah.
The Munich Conference.
Well, we're not at the Munich Conference yet. I've got some really funny stuff to get to before that. So basically, you have the British Prime Minister Neville Chamberlain in 1938 and the Chancellor of Germany, Adolf Hitler, finally coming head to head for a diplomatic meeting, hopefully for Chamberlain, to stop a war happening.
Yeah, over the Sudetenland in Czechoslovakia. This is huge.
This is one of the most important conferences ever.
And we have this fucking wet wipe of a Prime Minister.
Whoa.
Neville Chamberlain.
No.
The weakest, most fragile man. Who is literally fucking the world, representing us in global soil.
You stop that right now. Here we go. I'm going to be playing the part of Neville.
Am I Adolf?
You can if you want. So,
hello there.
Here we go.
Hello, Neville.
My boy Nevi has arrived in Munich. He takes a lovely little trip up to the Berchtesgaden, to the Berghof, where he steps up to the he gets on the front steps.
Is this the Eagle's Nest?
Yes, the Eagle's Nest, if you weren't aware. This is Hitler's famous mountain retreat in the Bavarian Alps, southern Germany. The same Berghof in Band of Brothers, if you've watched that.
Great episode.
He takes off his top hat, he puts his umbrella in his left hand, and he shakes Hitler's hand. Jolly well, my old chap. Lovely view. Lovely view. They step inside.
Fucking statesman.
They step inside the beautiful wooden building. Thunderstorms begin to strike outside the Berchtesgaden. I'm not joking, that's true. As Neville sits down alongside the Fuhrer.
It's like James Bond when you're across from an evil villain. Lightning crackles behind him.
Yeah, pretty much. Exactly.
Hello,
that.
Mr. Bond. Guten Tag, Monsieur Bond.
I do say, my old chap, lovely view.
Ja, das ist ein Berghof in Berchtesgaden.
And I must say, beautiful Scotch.
Ja, that Scotch is lecker.
You certainly treat your guests well. Now, what is it you want, Adolf? Because you are really putting us in a spot of bother here, mein Bruder.
Did you actually say that?
No, you didn't say any of this. I feel like
you got a transcript you're reading from. It's not so genuine.
So yeah, what do you want?
Yeah. I break it down for you, Neville. I fancy Sudetenland.
In fact, I'll let you know what you want. At this point, you demand charmingly for the Sudetenland to have a referendum to vote to succeeding to the German people.
Ich want to have the Sudetenland to have ein Referendum to join the EU Germany.
So you want to...
What is that accent?
You want a referendum, old chap?
Yeah, absolutely,
okay.
Neville.
That's all you want, just a referendum. Are you yoga club? that's so charged. So you just want a referendum. That's all you want.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, I tell you what. I'll go chat to my French brothers and also those those dastardly Czechs, and I'll see what I can do for you. All right. Lovely.
Cool.
Hey, by the way, lovely place. I love it. I'll see you later. Have a lovely evening, my dear Herr Hitler. Do you mind if I take this with me, by the way? What is this? Crate whiskey. Wow.
This is
Pint-Sized 15.
Yeah.
Pint-Sized 15. Okay, well, I'll remember to check out the code, Adolf. See you later. So they smile, exchange goodbyes, and Neville Chamberlain departs Bavaria, confers with his counterparts, and again meets Hitler days later to confirm that the referendum will indeed take place. He sorted it. War has been avoided. So They sit opposite each other once more, and Neville Chamberlain exclaims the good news to his German buddy. Ah, Adolf, good to see you again. Just so you know, I've bloody gone and done it. The French, the Czech, they're in. The referendum is happening. At this moment, Neville leans back in his chair with a posh little grin on his face. God, I'm a sick cunt, he thinks to himself. He thinks, I'm a mastermind in this diplomacy bullshit. You Germans, you thought I've sorted this out. But then, suddenly, Hitler smacks his fist down on the table. This is true. Smacks his fist down on the table, stands up, and starts shouting. He's furious.
Yeah, fuck off, no way. Forget the vote. I will invade unless the Czechs hand it over.
So, all of a sudden, Neville Chamberlain...
Sorry, people with headphones, by the way.
So, I'll have to turn this down. All of a sudden, Neville Chamberlain leans forward again and goes, right, well... I'll see what I can do. And at this moment,
such a little cuck, isn't he?
And at this moment, this is, by the way, this is all totally true. At this moment, a carefully choreographed courier arrives and silently gives Hitler a pamphlet. Hitler opens it up, reads the paper, looks up to Chamberlain and says, 300 more Germans have been killed this day. This is an outrage. What would you have me do, Neville?
Hitler's an unbelievable political actor, isn't he?
This is different levels.
Yeah. Churchill there, and it's a different story.
Churchill go, I see what you're doing.
I see you know your judo well.
How much are you paid? If it wasn't clear enough, that is a complete lie. There's been no information that 300 Germans have died. It is literally political play to try and convince Neville Chamberlain. Chamberlain is now in a complete shitstorm. Like, what does he do? Because he can't say that's a lie. He has to say, oh, fuck, I'm so sorry.
It's terrible. Terrible.
Wow.
Adolf.
And slowly he realizes he's just not that guy. So,
Hitler just goes, you're not that guy.
You're not that guy, pal. Adolf
guy.
Hitler's literally going, you're not that guy.
He isn't that guy, though. He's absolutely right. He's nowhere near
He's
the
been
guy.
completely outplayed so far. It turns out that all of his, cocky, I've done this, I've sorted this out, has been completely for naught. Apparently, when Chamberlain left the Birches Garden on that first evening, the German High Command all started laughing at how weird the situation was that he just turned up out of the blue and how weak Chamberlain had seemed. This silly English muppet that thought he could take advantage of us. We can take advantage of him. He is so malleable. That was the kind of the humor that they'd had that
Makes
for that
sense.
evening.
Checks out.
So, finally, Adolf Hitler of Germany, Neville Chamberlain of Britain, Edouard Daladier of France, and Benito Mussolini meet in Munich for one final attempt at keeping the peace. At 1:30 a.m. in the night, the four men finally agreed. Britain and France would not stop Hitler invading the Sudetenland on the agreement that Hitler was absolutely done invading anywhere else in Europe. Hitler promises to never again threaten to invade anywhere in Europe again after this. Whew. Relief. The next morning, Chamberlain travels to Hitler's personal apartment and gets him to sign another document. This one is an Anglo-German naval agreement. Neville says to Hitler, symbolic of the desire of our two countries never to go to war with one another again. After Hitler's interpreter has translated the message to him, Hitler happily agrees. So, Zach, what is a three-syllable word beginning with the letter A and rhymes with diseasement?
Appeasement.
Incorrect. The answer he was looking for was achievement. What an achievement. Neville Chamberlain is the GOAT. We've sorted it. There's no war. Europe is done. And I'm afraid he comes down to West London. He arrives in the airport. He waves a piece of paper and everyone goes, and he goes, peace for our time. The man has done it. Apparently he goes to Parliament and he lets them know, my good friends, peace and honor. I recommend you go home and sleep quietly in your beds. He literally says that in Parliament.
Fuck me,
The
man.
royal family invite him onto the balcony at Buckingham Palace as a hero. And so World War II was avoided. The world enjoyed a long and lasting peace, and Neville Chamberlain became immortalized as the greatest diplomat history books had ever known. And that is where we end our story. Did you enjoy it?
I'll tell you what. I fucking hate Neville Chamberlain. I don't know too much about the man.
What do you mean? He saved the world.
He saved the world. Enough of this, Gerardo.
Okay. All right. Okay, fair enough. You've got me. Funnily enough, Hitler didn't mean any of that fucking bullshit. Because appeasement doesn't fucking work. So no, of course, the reality is 6 months.
You cannot negotiate with a tiger
when your head is in its mouth. So, of course, the reality is 6 months after the Munich Agreement, Hitler tears up the paper and invades the rest of Czechoslovakia. This is the first time Hitler invades a people that are not predominantly German-speaking or ethnically German. This is a far bigger deal than the ones before. Still, the world condemns, but no one fights back. That's now 4 times Nazi Germany has ignored international agreements and not been punished. Not one bullet from a gun has been shot in any of these acquisitions. Each time the Nazis have strolled into land with troops and yet no bloodshed. In the German people's eyes, Hitler is already being considered one of the greatest leaders and diplomats in German history, if not the greatest. And he's only been in power for 5 years up to that point.
Let's wait for the Battle of France.
Especially as he has achieved all of this while still remaining that he is for peace. And it is here that we are going to end part 2 of the Nazis in power, as Hitler's next move is to invade Poland on the 1st of September 1939. And this is known officially, although it is actually debated, as the official beginning of World War II. So this will be covered in our next installment of Nazi Germany, The Nazis at War.
Ooh, well done, Joe. Well
Yeah.
done. I could sit there and listen to you talk about the Nazis for hours.
So I just enjoy pissing about with Neville Chamberlain, man. It's just so much
Fucking
fun.
wet
It's just
wipe.
such fun to take the piss
I think
out of
apparently
you.
Neville Chamberlain was like really, really important in the war cabinet. Like, I think he did do a really good job during that time.
Yeah.
So you have to give him some praise there for that.
He
But
just got
ultimately-
outplayed.
Ultimately, if he wasn't such a wet wipe, and Gladiator, I don't know if it was Laval or Gladiator or who, Leon Blum or something.
Yeah.
I don't know who the French Prime Minister was. If there was a strong British Prime Minister and a strong French President, there is a easy way of averting the atrocities of World War II.
Yeah.
It's a shame for me is that like World War II feels really avoidable. Like the world will obviously shift and something might happen, something might blow up.
It's way more avoidable than World War One. That's for certain.
Well, Germany was on the brink of like civil war for a little bit too,
Yeah.
as well. Like the Wehrmacht absolutely hated Hitler, and obviously by 1939, after he conquers France and some of Europe, he's like cemented his status as the Fuhrer. He's achieved magnificent things, but the French could have marched in the Rhineland in 1940 and ended the war in a few weeks.
Yeah.
Didn't do that.
Yeah.
And I just feel like it's sad to think about how the terrible political actions of a couple of men might have averted tens of millions of people dying.
Of course, but
there would always been.
it's so difficult, isn't it?
And there probably would have always been more between Germany and Soviet Union.
One
as
thing
well.
I didn't talk about at all, really, apart from with Röhm, the SA chief, was that he was not the only one that. Well, Hitler had more than one rival. There were many people that considered overthrowing him at certain points, and some of them got clocked, some of them chickened out, some of them changed their minds. The fact of the matter is that at any point, Hitler could have been taken down, the cult of personality could have ceased, and maybe the world wouldn't, even if a war had happened, it certainly wouldn't have been the most deadly of all the wars that's ever existed. So there's so many things that could have made it a bit better and maybe made it not so deadly. But at the end of the day, this is how history transpired. It's a sad fact of it. And as we get further away from it, it's more important than ever to continue talking about it. Not only just because it's so interesting,
It feels
but
like it might
because
repeat itself.
World War II is a really good example of so many things that, not just that's happening today, but just can happen at any point. Thank you for listening. I hope you guys enjoyed basically me waffling about Nazi Germany in power for 1933 to 1938, and we'll see you in the next one.
See you later. Lots of love. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.